This is Raphael.
I'm Loryn.
We're the Pacheco siblings, and welcome to the Hypercube podcast, a talk show in which two siblings converse about anything and everything. We are joined today by our first returning guest, the one and only voice actor extraordinaire, Dakota Farnsworth. Welcome back to the show, Dakota.
Hello, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm happy that we got back here, especially after all the Beyond the Veil stuff. I'm just like,
oh yeah,
because I think I just realized that I just absolutely love hanging out with both of you. So literally any excuse I can get to do that, I will take. So
no,
absolutely.
Yeah, no, this has definitely become a fast friend situation. I mean, we really just hit it off after that first podcast. And then after Beyond the Veil, it was like, no, game over, man.
Yeah, game over, man. Game over. What is it? Now we've been through the trenches with each other. We've gone through time loops. We're just kind of like...
Yeah, for sure. We've been traumatized together. We're trauma bonded.
Really. Bonded by trauma. Yeah.
We are destined to see each other for the rest of eternity every time we do a loop. So.
I have no doubt. It was just definitely one of those situations. And it was just happy happenstance that we had some mutual friends who were willing to put us in touch. It became very obvious very quickly that this was going to be the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad we are friends now.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, what is it? I think we've been I think I've been texting you guys at least most days out of the week at this point.
Yeah. Like it has become a regular thing, for sure. And we always have such interesting things to talk about. Even before we were recording here, it felt like we had trouble getting the episode off the ground because we were just talking so much, which is a problem that I thought only Loryn and I had. So you fit right in.
Yeah, we straight up because I was looking at the time and I was like, oh my gosh, we were supposed to start at 6. It was that was 15 minutes ago. But at the same time, I'm like, but at the same time, it's showing we are really good friends. We actually just whenever we start a conversation, we just don't stop. And that's great. I love that so much.
No, I'll never forget that time when we were preparing for Beyond the Veil and you were on the private Discord server that we used to record all of our live streams for our tabletop gaming.
Yeah.
And we're it was during a weekday. We were still in the middle of prepping, and I just see you hanging out by yourself in one of the voice chats in that server, and I was just like, "What's he doing over there?"
I was waiting for one of you.
I got prep to do. I guess I'll hop in too, because I think you said you'd put a message or something out there, and I was like, so I hopped in, and you're playing a video game, I think, as you were waiting around, and you were calling it research for your character, because you're running around hitting things with baseball bats, and we I jump into this voice chat, and we end up spending 4 hours just talking and shooting the breeze and hardly getting any character prep done, but it's still just hanging out. That was such a fun time.
We're getting quote networking done.
Yes, networking.
Yeah.
No,
Let's call it networking, and the higher ups will go for it.
No, when there's not too much to do at my day job, and some people walk by, it's just you're just sitting around talking, and we'll just be like, safety meeting. It's that's what it was. It was just no, having a safety meeting, get networking done.
Sometimes at the lab, I do the same thing. If we're really slow, we'll just all be shooting this and everyone's like, hey, what, is there anything that needs to get done? And we're like, we're right in the middle of talking about that. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry. And they walk away. I'm like, so anyways. I think that was a big sign with you two is I very much whenever I do find those friendships where we can just start a topic and be talking for hours, then I'm just oh yeah, we're gonna this is something I'm holding on to for the rest of time if I can. So absolutely.
Yeah, when the conversations make themselves.
Absolutely, yeah, pretty much. I mean, we were doing it here before the recording. We were just talking.
Yeah, that's what I love. Where it's oh yeah, we're gonna record a podcast episode, and then before the recording starts, you've already recorded 2 podcast episodes.
Yeah, basically
worth of conversation.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. It feels like a lot has happened as of late. I mean, first off, we are just coming into a new podcast season after season 2 ended. Mm-hmm. Earlier this year, or was it late last year? Somewhere around that time frame.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. The point is, the last season of the Hypercube podcast kind of ended it in. We were kind of having a bit of a sentimental episode in the finale, I remember, because we were at that point in time in a bit of a liminal moment in our lives. Obviously, Loryn has undergone a pretty big life change in recent years, moving out to Australia. And then as of that recording of that final podcast of season 2, I was just literally weeks away from getting married and moving halfway across the country.
Yeah.
And so those were like huge steps, huge life changes. And it seems now we're recording this specifically because you're kind of just on the eve of a big transition yourself. You're moving out to Dallas, Texas. And so I was wondering if we could talk about that a little bit, because that's a huge jump. You're kind of going from, we're kind of making the same time zone jump at the very least that I did, from the East Coast to Central Time. And so that's a long ways to go. I'm curious what kind of mostly motivated that and what your kind of plans are.
Well, first off, definitely that podcast episode when I was listening to it, I actually watched that episode twice. Cause I really liked, the conversation you both had about sabbaticals, because it's something that I also struggle with quite a lot. So I work a heart lab job, and then, let me check how many I'm actively working on now. But like, there was a point where I was working on I'm not shitting you, 27 projects at the same time.
Oh my gosh.
And so there's all that. And then it's also like, I have a boyfriend. So like we have a relationship that I'm also trying to make sure we're good with. I'm trying to make sure all my home responsibilities are good. It's just a lot to do all at once. And it's a storm that I've learned to sort of dance through. But there were definitely like some pointers that you guys had about making sure that, you're able to take those breaks, because then like that helps enhance the art that you're doing as well, or enhance to whatever work you're doing. Like that's something that has definitely helped me every time I have tried to take a big break. And specifically, when I'm doing the move actually got pushed back. We were actually supposed to be there on October 3rd, but now it's being pushed back to October 14th, which actually works out great, because I had already.
That's my birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, what was that?
I was going to say.
That's right on my birthday.
Are you
October
serious?
14th.
That's Josh's birthday. Yeah. That's Josh's birthday.
Oh, there's no way I'm going to forget that. Hell yeah. No, I'll call you first thing in the morning.
Yeah, for sure. Happy birthday to me.
Guess where I am.
Hey, I just got here. Oh, by the way, happy birthday. See ya. So they pushed it back by about 2 weeks, which gave me about 4 weeks until I fully move in and before I work at my job. So in that time, I'm deciding, because I've taken so much time and I have lost a lot of sleep in the past couple of months, maybe this is like the time for to get sleep debt back, to kind of put everything in order that I need to just kind of enjoy life for a second. And before I make this big transition into the Dallas space, because pretty much when I move there, it's going to be work. Specifically because I'm moving over to another lab down there in Irving. And when I get there, I'm gonna be working histology, and I'm gonna be working 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. shifts. And then on top of that, I'm also trying to get in with Crunchyroll, which I gotten a couple of recommendations for as well. So I'm thinking that within the next year, I should be able to. I think I'll be able to get into Crunchyroll. So that's
awesome.
That's the main goal.
Well, Dallas is a great place to be, from what I understand, for voiceover. A lot of people don't realize it. I mean, so historically, the industry has been pretty centralized geographically in just a handful of locations in any given country. And obviously, in the US, LA has been the place for a long time, LA and New York, to certain differing degrees. But obviously, things have gotten a lot more decentralized since then. Those are still massive hubs, but there's also plenty of kind of big hubs dotted throughout the country now. And a lot of people don't realize, ever since the 80s or so, Dallas has actually been a big hotspot for voiceover, specifically because, like you pointed out, Funimation is based out of there. And so a lot of people got huge kickstarts in their voiceover career through there. I mean, Laura Bailey dubbed all of Dragon Ball there, all that stuff. So yeah, there's a lot going on in that area for career voiceover artists. So that's really awesome to hear that you've got some prospects lined up, and not gonna lie, just really exciting as a friend to see you going that distance. I can't wait to to see what comes of it.
Well, also we'll be 4 hours from each other, so you and I will be seeing each other a lot. But
I pointed that out when I was like looking up on the map. I was like, we're gonna be just like 4.5 hours away from each other, which after all the road trips I've done in the past few years, that is like nothing to me now. I could easily.
You have to add Dakota to the home game.
Don't tempt me.
I would like it if you did. Please keep going. Please keep going.
That'd be a crazy drive, but it would.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like isn't that just how D&D used to be? Is everyone's like, hey, everybody, we're gonna do D&D this weekend. Everyone drives in, spends the weekend playing D&D, and then drives home.
I mean,
it's fair.
Here's the thing: if I start getting into full-time voiceover, so right now I work basically like 60, 70 hours a week. But if I can start getting that going, that's a lot of time that I get back, you know? So what is it? And
that's a big thing for me as well. Like, I think for all three of us right now can relate to the idea of, I guess, the starving artist struggle of having to work a day job in addition to doing all of our artistic endeavors.
Yes.
It's a huge time sink and it could get really, really stressful in the long term. But I think we all kind of have an ideal of getting to a place where we could have a better work-life balance with that.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
I'm currently employed by 4 companies if you include P3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get asked a lot, like, why the hell do you work this much? And I was like, well, think about it this way. If I do this for 3 years, it means I don't have to do it for the next 10 years or 20 years or 30 years. Like, if I can get this done as quick as possible, I'm actually saving a crap ton of time. So if I take this at a snail's pace, I'm actually going to be pushing back my goal maybe by a decade. You know what I mean? So I think it's just beneficial to put the grind set in now and then get that later. I definitely think I have what it takes to get there. It just I just need to be able to apply things and I need to be smart.
Yeah, it's like most people work to retire when they're 60. We're trying to retire when we're 30 and 40. So that we can do the good stuff now.
Basically, yeah. Which, I mean, not even retire, because I subscribe to this as well, Raph, of I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be working till I'm dead. So I get like that. Yeah. What is it?
Retire from the workforce at least, because
yeah, I understand what you mean.
when people talk about jobs and work, like obviously, if you do anything for a certain period of time, like especially for money, it will become a job. It's like, even if it's your dream job, if it's exactly everything you wanted to do for the rest of your life, it is still going to be a job. It is still going to be a grind. Some days you're just not going to want to come in, and you have to, and that's just the nature of jobs. Eventually, it's just going to start becoming, like menial. But it's better than doing work for, like, mindless work for someone else for the next 20 years, where you're not even seeing any of the creative benefit of it.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's like retiring from the workforce as early as we can, so we can start working for ourselves.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think I got really lucky with the company I got with, which is was it Quest Diagnostics.
I think I've heard of Quest. I think I got a COVID test from them.
They're what is it? They're a Fortune 500, so it's you've definitely heard of them. They do most of like the drug testing facilities and drug tests. A lot of times when hospitals don't have the specific instruments to run certain tests, they send them to us. So yeah, it's pretty universal. It's in a lot of the facets of the medical field, at least here in the U.S. I got pretty lucky because the director of my lab. Currently, I had told them about voiceover, and they're like, oh, okay, like, because when you tell people you're an actor, they're not just like, oh yeah, like totally. So
like, oh sure, yeah, you're an actor.
Yeah, and so
everyone wants to be an actor.
And so when Eden's Garden came out, I showed that to them, and they went, oh my God, you're like actually an actor, and I was like, yeah, and they're like, okay, tell you what. So we wouldn't normally do this, but because we just like that you have that drive about you, here's what we're gonna do. Like, let us know anytime you need to like go on a trip or something like that that's business related. We'll figure it out. Like, we'll like if you have to go in the negatives a little bit, that's cool. If we will even let you borrow some of our PTO a little bit, or do something to help you. And so they were very, very big on that. And then yeah, so they were just super, super helpful with the whole process of going through all the voiceover stuff. Like the convention I did last September, which actually I want to talk to y'all about that at some point too. But what is it? The convention we did last September, a lot of it was possible because my bosses already knew what I was doing. And I was like, hey, this thing is happening. They're like, don't even sweat it. Just tell us what we need to do. And I was like, you all rock.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it was very, very nice of them. And so what's cool is that the lab in Irving is right across the street from Crunchyroll. And then the place I'm going to is a 5-minute drive. The place I'm living is a 5-minute drive from Crunchyroll as well. So it's like this big triangle, right? And so I was talking to the director at that laboratory because I knew I was transferring down there. They wanted to interview me first. And I was like, yeah, like they were like, what do you see yourself doing in 5 years? And I was like, well, I will admit, I'm not expecting to be here in the next 5 years. I actually do voiceover work. And they're like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, yeah. And so I was like, yeah, no. So the reason I'm going down there is actually to get involved with Crunchyroll. Another reason why Texas is a big spot right now is because there's a lot of tech businesses like building up down there. So that means commercial advertising, that means promo advertising, that means like literally all these other things that voiceover touches. So when I was telling them about that, they were like, oh my gosh, wait a minute, where's Crunchyroll? And I was like, it's like across the street from you. And they're like, what? And so it was because one of them was apparently a really big anime fan, and they were like, I had no idea Crunchyroll is across the street. And they're like, wait a minute. And so they start looking up on Google, and I go, no way, it's across the street from us. So
yeah, you just hang out long enough, you might see some celebrities walking in for some voiceover.
Yeah, because it's funny because I'm like I've seen like friends go to the Crunchyroll headquarters, and they've shown that like there is a fucking sign like right in front of it that says Crunchyroll. So it's like, how did you not know that I was there? But I mean, either way, maybe they're just really busy on their own stuff. But I just think it's funny that like they had been like, apparently one of them had worked in there for like 3-4 years and had not once thought to look over there.
That is amazing. That's really awesome that you have a current workplace that's that supportive of your artistic endeavors. I mean, that is very few and far between, and that's really awesome that you have that. I definitely feel like I've had a lot of blessings with regards to my day jobs as well. The place I'm currently working at, it's a smaller company than I used to, but they have just been super awesome people to me, even during my brief time there since moving here to Oklahoma. Yeah, I have just seen all sorts of kindness and ever since I started this job and support just in my personal life. Because yeah, when I got injured, which I think we talked, I can't remember if we brought it up on the podcast yet in the first episode of this season, but like I was in a workplace accident where my left foot got crushed. And when that was going on, like just everybody kind of mobilized and kind of rallied around that, but the higher ups even did a lot of awesome stuff that they really didn't need to do to help with that and to make things easier and less worrisome for us. And it all actually ended up working out really great. Honestly, it feels kind of weird to say, but like in hindsight, it was just like one of the awesomest things that could have happened because like, especially after workers' comp and stuff kicked in, like it didn't end up being too financially terrible. And of course, workers' comp covers all of the medical expenses for that stuff. And then on top of that, like I got like 3 weeks off where I was just able to work on projects at my computer. And at a certain point, I was like, I feel like I'm stealing at this point. This is awesome.
Is this cheating?
Yeah.
It's cool because like the term my stepmom likes to use, because she was going to be a doctor originally. The term she likes to use is that you like in the US, it's like you can't afford to be sick. So I'm glad that like financially that worked out for you and that your company was willing to help kind of ease that sort of stress and tension for you. Oh yeah, for sure.
Because that's always, unfortunately, the unfortunate reality, I guess, of living in the States is that what your stepmom says is very true, right? It just feels like sometimes getting injured or getting sick can be one of the worst, most devastating things that can happen to you financially. Yeah. And that's just a terrible thing to say as a human being, right? That something so horrible can happen to you, and then like insult to injury, that it could be the worst thing for your finances as well. It is an unfortunate reality. But yeah, thankfully, I had a lot of support going through all this. And then even, like they knew I was going through like a big transition, and just getting married and moving here and everything. And I was actually living when I first moved here after the wedding, I was living with my in-laws basically out in like rural Oklahoma. It was pretty far from the city, but we knew
rural Oklahoma.
Yeah, very rural. And so, but we knew we wanted to move closer to the Tulsa area. So that's where I looked for work. And for a while there, like I was commuting over an hour to work.
Oh,
one
wow.
way every single day. So it was like 2 hours of driving a day, just to be able to work there. But it was, oh my goodness. It was a tough couple of months. And it wasn't until like 3 months later that we were finally able to get a place closer. And when that was going on, we had some help fall through that would made the move even more difficult because we were supposed to have access to a pickup truck that we didn't end up getting. And then like my supervisor at this job stepped in and like actually offered to help move us in with his pickup truck. Like just stuff like that.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
He is a cool dude. He's a super cool dude. He's also, like given me rides and stuff while I've been recovering and until I was able to get out of the boot but started going back to work. Yeah, it's just been awesome to have that support. And it's just awesome to hear and see when that happens to anybody. And I'm glad you kind of had a bit of a support structure in your professional field as well for your other career.
For sure. And it kind of felt like the stars aligned a little bit with it as well, because I'm just like, okay, so I'm moving down so I got this job that I'm not really qualified for. But yeah, the reason I originally got the lab job is because I had known someone that was in college who had gone into a bio major, and she was one of the team leads, the position I have now at that time. And she was like, listen, I know you are really bad at science, but I know you're really, she's like, I know you're really good at adapting though. Like, I know that if I like give something to you, you'll like make sure you try to learn it the best that you can. So I would rather we hire someone that I know will do a good job and will do their best versus some random person that might walk in that might not really care.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, sure. And so getting this job that I have now, and then finding out that it's right across the street from my dream job in another state. And so I'm like, oh, this works perfectly. This is great.
Yeah, that is amazing. That is amazing how life works out that way, though. And that's truly a blessing when it comes.
Oh, truly a blessing. I truly feel like God's omnipotent plan of like of the things that are made to work out a certain way. I definitely it's hard to think that it couldn't be that. You know what I mean? Like it all worked out too perfectly.
There's just an element of destiny to it all.
For sure, which is funny because it came right after a very stressful time. So I was very thankful to have all of that just kind of happen at once. And I was like, oh, great, awesome. And like, yeah, so it's I'm definitely happy about it. What about you, Loryn? Amazing. You've been a little bit quiet.
I'm letting you guys get your stuff in.
Yeah, I want to talk to both of you.
My situation is a little, so it's basically the same, just working and trying to get to the point where you can do both creative and money work. Because the job I'm working right now, they're based in Sydney.
Okay.
Like the company's based in Sydney, but they...
Are you doing a huge commute like I did?
No, thankfully not, because they've expanded out to where I live. So I live about an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on traffic, away from Sydney, which Sydney's the main creative hub in my state. So if we're trying to move up there because if we can get closer to them, obviously there's more jobs available because they've expanded out here, but it's not reliable. I've been off of a project for like about a month now because there hasn't been a job down here.
Gotcha.
All the jobs are up in Sydney. So if I can move up there, work will be more reliable. And I'm closer to the studios. I'm closer to all that creative hub up there. So that's kind of the goal right now. And we're sitting in the basement at the moment, just trying to collect our money. I don't remember if you remember at the end of the last season, I had this like lofty goal of trying to make 100K in a year, right?
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
So I was just thinking about like, you're saying like, oh yeah, like I crunch now, then I don't have to do this for another 20 years or so. I had come to the realization because that goal, I'm actually fairly close to it. I'm not going to make 100K in a in a financial year, it's something like 96,000.
That's
pretty darn
pretty
everything goes
damn cool though.
It's
Like,
damn close.
I would not turn my head down at the fact that
That's before taxes, though.
Oh,
that's before taxes, and I might be taxed by 2 countries. So we'll see how it turns out by the end of the year. So,
I will say, if you do end up going to Sydney, let me know because I think I have some contacts though that you might be able to meet.
yeah, I've got a couple of so I work at a factory at the moment, confectionery like stuff. They make chocolate bars. It's whatever. It's a factory. One of the guys there is an actor also, and we were just talking at some point. He was like, oh yeah, hey, I was in this commercial earlier. I was like, wait, what, when you were in a commercial? You act? He's like, yeah, I act on the side. I was like, no way. And we started talking about acting for a little bit. Turns out, yeah, I think he commutes up to Sydney every now and then to, do some work. He's like in a couple of TV shows. He's in some commercials. He's in a movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, he gave me his contacts. So I've got a couple of different ins to get into Sydney. But yeah, there's.
I also want.
It's just gonna be getting there. Is a problem.
I also want to brag on Loryn being this proximate to Sydney because you got to go to the Sydney Opera House and see Penn and Teller.
Oh yeah,
so I saw
Penn and Teller. Let's go, dude.
I saw Penn and Teller at Sydney Opera House.
And I will say, Loryn and Rose were kind enough to get us a souvenir from the Sydney Opera House, and it's basically a snow globe with the Sydney Opera House in it, and they shipped it international to us to get us a souvenir, and it's super cool. It's on our counter now. But the funny part is, like, Australians don't know what snow is.
No, that's not necessarily true. Yeah, apparently, like maybe I think it's like they said maybe half an hour, 45-minute drive from here. There's a place called the Blue Mountains, I think, and it snows up there because even though Australia is like, what's the word? Tectonically stable. There's a ton of mountains. It has like one of the biggest mountain ranges in the world. Apparently, I saw this on a video when I was researching like cultural stuff in Australia. But yeah, there's a bunch of mountains up here. But absolutely not in the main cities now.
No, but my point is, let me finish my story.
It's like LA, right?
Let me finish my story.
Yeah.
I found out that they don't call snow globes over there.
What do they call it?
They call them water balls.
Of course they do.
Of course they do. I would expect ice balls over water balls.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, because it's just like one of the little flakes in there.
Dandruff.
It's filled with water.
You said that, and I'm remembering the Breakfast Club scene of the girl making like dandruff art. You remember that?
Oh,
yeah.
I remember that.
You said that.
Vaguely remember
you said that, and I was like, because I just watched it recently, and I was like, as soon as you said that, I was like, oh no, I'm getting flashbacks. One of the people I was talking about, who's down there, her name is Vixena. She's a director for an audio drama that I'm in called Neon Ignition, and she's actually going to Oregon in the next like month or two. And so she basically is going around that time because she wants to see snow for the first time. And I'm like, that's really cool. Like that's super, super sick.
Yeah. When we did our trip, me and Rose, when we did our trip back to the States, because when everything was going on with like Raph's wedding, everything, like me and Rose were traveling a ton back and forth from the US and Australia. Definitely the most flying I've ever done in like such a short period of time. And I don't think it's ever going to be topped. Like we did so many international flights. Like I think I spent at least 2 or 3 days within, what is it, like about a year in the air, like just straight.
Oh wow!
Like 2 or 3 days, like solid in the air.
I'm sorry.
Actually, no more than that, because just one trip back and forth.
Like I like traveling and I like international travel. However, 3 days just of planes.
No,
I would hate it.
One trip back and forth. I think it's 16 hours. Oh. Yeah, it's 16 hours ish.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's more than a
day.
No.
No. I think it's including like a couple hour layers. So it's about like 11 hours straight in the air. So one trip from Australia to the US and then back is already one entire day in the air. And we were going back and forth a bunch.
Wow.
So when we went down to San Diego, we stayed with my mom in the mountains, basically. And she got to see snow for the first time. And she was excited. So that was pretty cool.
That's
Yeah.
cool. Okay.
I wasn't in on that part, even though I was a part of that trip. But many other things were happening.
So much was going on.
Oh yeah,
But
that was crazy.
We jumped down a little like mountainside thing. That was pretty cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
Sometimes.
She's just jumping off mountains now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know how it
Living
is.
a life of adventure. I'm still amazed that you got a nonstop flight from Sydney to OKC for my wedding. That is extraordinary to me.
Oh, that's stars aligning again on that. Yeah. That's really cool. Yeah.
But that is a lot of time to be in the air, like not even going way past the West Coast. Like, I can't even imagine. I don't know if I've ever been on a flight that long.
No, I think, was that one? I think we stopped in Texas. Was it a straight flight?
You told me it was a nonstop.
I don't remember. Well, because we used to stop in LA because LAX is one of the bigger ones. So we would stop in LA and then go wherever we needed to go in the States. But at some point we realized we could stop in Texas for some reason.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure you took a nonstop to OKC. That's what you told me anyway. So
I don't remember.
If not, even if you went to Texas, that's still most of the way there. That's like 40 minutes away by air. So
I think that was the one we stopped in Texas. I think what I meant was it was a nonstop to like
the center of the
here, because then it was basically like a 45-minute jump. Just go. Boop, boop.
Yeah. Like that's nothing by comparison.
Yeah, like we didn't even count that trip. That wasn't a plane. That was a sky ferry.
Yeah. Which those trips. Flights that short are a trip when you get them. It's like, hey, we left. Oh, we're landing.
I cannot. Like I was with you there. I could not be on a plane for that long.
I could
I'm getting used to it now. It sucks. Crazy. I've gotten used to it.
I'm not like claustrophobic, but I like need to be able to walk around like at some point, like have an actual walk. You know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's so weird because it's like. When you're on a plane for that long, you kind of get to know the people around you, right?
Oh,
You get to like even if you don't talk to anybody, you look around and it's like, oh, that person's up and walking around again. And then it's just like you kind of get to like see everybody's little routines. It's very funny because like, you can tell which people have been on planes for a significant amount of time and people who are not used to it.
Oh yeah,
like the people who are like, oh yeah, this is whatever. Like they're either out cold for the whole thing, they're just napping. Or they've got like a full-on overnight routine. Like they're up in the mornings, they're stretching, they're walking up and down the aisles, getting their steps in, and then they go back to sleep.
That's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know if it's just me, but like whenever I'm on a flight, like I just don't even want to walk around most of the time. Maybe I'm crazy for that.
Same. Okay. I try to stay in my seat for the entirety of a flight every time I do a flight.
Yeah.
Like I just won't. I refuse to leave my seat.
You can do that for the first 12 hours, sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's why I'm intimidated by that flight because I'm like, I don't know if it's possible to do that on a flight that long, just biologically.
I think that would be a flight I'd have to do first class on. You know what I'm saying? Like I would have to.
Oh yeah.
I would have to have a seat that doesn't suck. Like that would kill me.
Absolutely. Like even just getting there was one trip where we got a seat with extra legroom. I don't remember because all the other ones were taken and we had to like pay for a seat. I think all of the other like basic ass seats were all full up, so we had to pay for like a semi-premium seat with more legroom, and that was the best. That was the best, being able to just stretch out and go like, oh, I can just lie here.
That is why I always take the emergency exits. Every single time they ask, I go, yep, me.
Yeah. I'll do whatever you ask.
Like I'm a Boy Scout. I already want to help when things are going bad anyway. So just give me that damn seat.
Yeah. You need a knot tied, I'll tie it.
Yeah. Trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind of be just going down the whole leg wall. They're like, geez, all right, fine. Like, all right.
We've arrived. We've become a plane podcast where we just talk about
it's happened.
It's happened. We've reached that RT podcast stage where the whole podcast
about the
just
models.
becomes about flights.
We gotta start talking about the models of planes, the history.
For sure.
Yeah.
The legal trouble of Boeing.
Oh my God, have you heard what's going on with Boeing right now?
Can't even get people back from space.
Oh, dude. Speaking of,
I know there's like a whole Lost in Space drama going on right now, and nobody's talking about it.
What do you mean?
They're gonna be the first people to vote from space.
It's quite possible.
Wait, what?
That's insane.
Oh, yeah. So have you not heard about this whole
I
debacle?
don't think so. No.
It's wild.
So there's these two astronauts who went up to space. They were supposed to be there for, I think, a couple weeks
A
to
couple
do
days.
a couple days. No, yeah, just a couple days.
Yeah,
They're supposed to be there for a
couple
couple days to do a little experiment and then fly back.
Uh-huh.
It's been like 3-4 months,
And they're
Now?
still there.
something like that. And they're still up there.
Yeah, because they took a flight.
I think they're
from-
currently the longest.
They took a flight
Yeah.
up from Boeing's new proprietary spacecraft,
Uh-huh.
and it got them
Nothing
up
could go
there.
wrong there.
Yeah, nothing could go wrong there. It got them up there, but the problem is it like sprung a leak basically getting up there.
Yeah.
And so it's like a severe, safety and maintenance issue. And so they're trying to get it fixed. And it's been months and they haven't been
Yeah,
able to get
and-
it fixed.
They did get it fixed, and they sent another one up, and that one broke too, I think.
Yeah, something
Are
like
you
that. It's been a whole drama.
serious? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
It's been a whole drama that's been going on over the course
Yeah.
of months. And it's gotten it's gotten so bad. And the two astronauts that they sent up there that were supposed to be up there for just a matter of days have now been up in the International Space Station for months and just waiting to be able to get back home. And it's getting to the point that other companies are, trying to intervene to see if they can get them back sooner because Boeing isn't getting the job done. But yeah, it's this whole drama that's playing out in space
whole
right
thing,
now
dude. It's insane.
that it feels like nobody's talking about because there's just so
There's
much
gonna be a
other
movie about
stuff going on at the same time. Like everyone's like, it's just like, yeah, that's all going on. But then all this crazy politics and global events are happening. And then it's just like, we just gotta forget about it. But I'm like, is nobody gonna talk about the fact that there's like a whole Lost in Space, like sci-fi movie going on in this corner? And
A
like,
full-on gravity drama.
yeah, that's just going on, and it's really dramatic, and it's got so many plot lines, and yet
But,
like it feels like
yeah, I
it's
think
such
at
a
the
blip
moment-
in history right now compared to like everything else that's going on. Entire countries, governments have been overhauled at the same time, and so it's really hard to like.
It's hard to stay
Governments have
focused
been
on the
overturned.
people
Yeah.
up in the sky when you're hearing about everything going on down here. Yeah.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, there's these two dudes up in space going like, oh, what are they doing?
Yeah.
What are they doing down there?
yeah.
Just like, hello? You guys hear us?
But
It reminds me of what is it? You ever seen Dr. Stone?
I don't think I have.
That anime is so good. Definitely watch it. If you two are science lovers, definitely watch Dr. Stone. It's essentially about the entire world turns to stone. Everyone, well, the entire everyone on the planet turns to stone, and then 3,700 years passes, and this guy wakes up, and he is like a super genius who studied like all forms of science. He was
Of
incredibly
course.
interested in it, and he goes, I'm going to take back civilization, and I'm going to basically rebuild what we had in the time that I'm alive, and like try to basically get the world back to where it's supposed to be.
jeez.
It's a really
That's a
cool
lofty
show.
goal.
It's like a reverse isekai.
He's like a super. Yeah, no, actually, it is kind of like a reverse isekai because he's talking about it like he's fighting like. He's trying to beat fantasy, which is the idea that everyone could turn to stone. He's trying to beat fantasy with science and prove that like anything is like plausible and that he can solve the problem. And that like
That is actually a pretty cool premise.
he's a
and when you put
very
it that
cool
way.
character. I thought it was pretty funny because I was telling you earlier I've been getting into Socrates, and I'm very convinced that the main character is based off Socrates. Like now that I've been reading like Socrates'
really?
dialogues, because he's very much like. Socrates is very much the
Socratic
idea
method.
that he's always talking about like an objective truth, and he's never putting his emotions before those objective truths, and he has like a planned system on how he solves problems. The main character Senku is the exact same way. Like he just
Well, that's just logic. Well, technically, I guess any philosophical logician character who is based in logic is basically in some way influenced by Socrates because he kind of formalized logic.
yeah, that's true.
At
It was
least how we currently talk about logic.
The father of philosophy, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least Western philosophy for sure.
Well, again, like specifically logic, like his like the Socratic method is a way to just kind of infer things about like
Reality.
infer one thing from another using a systematic series of questions.
Yeah. So the connection with that and the space station thing is that in the show they talk about that, is that everyone was stone on Earth, and there were people in the International Space Station at the time that was happening, and it becomes like
snap.
Yeah.
that episode is horrifying to watch at times because you're like, oh, they're just like alone. Like they are the last people. Like there is no one left. Like so they're like sitting there in the space station, like, yo, what's going on?
But how many years has it been since then? Like they're surely skeletons by now.
What is it? They basically go into it where they themselves on the space station come up with an idea of how to get back to Earth, and they do. But it's the realization then like this the survival aspect of it sets in, and that's where it gets like I think that's part of the part where it gets crazy is because it's just it's
okay. You're selling me on this anime, man. You're selling me on this anime.
Dr. Stone. It's one of my favorites. I'm adding
it to my Crunchyroll right now.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite anime. It's so good. And it also talks, and it's funny because I'm describing it this way. It's also an educational show because the character in question is bringing back all of these civilization pieces. Like what does he create? Like he creates like a generator and the light bulb and like all these things in a primitive world. And it's talking about like
that's actually
like primitive technology.
Primitive technology.
That is
it's super cool. And he what is it? The whole show is basically him teaching the audience how it's possible, and it's using actual methods that can be applied in real life.
That is a fantastic premise where somebody has the knowledge of current civilization and, just so happens to be a super genius because the show's got to go on and set them in a world where everything has gone back to zero. And it's like, okay, you got to go from rock to electricity. How do you do that? How do you go from pointy stick to the internet?
There definitely are some parts that are very anime. Like it's things that like wouldn't happen as quickly as they say they do. But
of course not. But it's
to give an example,
it's the theory of it, right?
Yeah. So it's like everything is scientifically sound. Like I guess it's weird to say it wouldn't happen in a time way because it does happen in a timely manner that makes sense. However, there's some things where it's like, all right, the way that we create, say, a generator is we need a magnet, but in order to make a magnet, we need like copper and we need lightning to strike this copper. Oh, and then it suddenly starts raining and it's like, okay, all right, cool. Like,
convenient.
Real convenient.
Everything lines up.
Real convenient.
It's the assumption of a spherical cow. Everything is just perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like everything just kind of happens in a perfect setting, which I mean, they don't make him like a Jerry Sue where he just is good at everything. They actually make it very clear that he is only good on the science aspect. Like he understands the logic. He understands like all the equations and all the different elements. And he understands all of that because that's what he's mainly focused on for so long. But like, everything else, like the physical labor, he's just really bad at. Like, he's really bad at. Like he's really bad at the physical labor side of things. He's really bad at fighting. He's really bad at he basically is only good as a scientist. And like they make it very clear that that's his one skill.
Strength, dumb stat.
Right. He is all of his stats are dumped into wisdom and intelligence, and everything else sucks. Yeah. Yeah, no, very, very, very cool. I absolutely love the show.
I've got to watch that.
Yeah,
now.
It's definitely one of my
You
favorites.
really sold me.
What is it? I believe they produced some of it in Texas, which is one of the reasons why I want to work for Crunchyroll super fast, is because it would kill me if it finishes before I could be a part of it.
Oh, it's still ongoing.
Yeah. Yes, it's still ongoing. So they're on. They're on.
So that is a very real possibility that you could.
Yeah, no. So it. What is it? I don't believe the manga is very long, so it's a possible I might not be able to. That's another. That is kind of a fear with My Hero as well, because I really want to be in My Hero.
Of course,
My Hero Academia.
My Hero Academia. Yep.
That'd be a big deal.
Yes.
I would never stop talking about it if you got into it. And it's just like, hey, I know someone on the dub of My Hero Academia.
my current determination and manifestation is I want to play Skycrawler from the Vigilante series.
Not familiar with Vigilante.
So Vigilantes is a spin-off of My Hero that happens after the show. So it's about it's about people who kind of took all of the responsibilities of justice into their own hands, and they didn't want to go through like the Hero Academy or any of that stuff in order to save people, because they were like, well, we should just save people because that's like the right thing to do. So Skycrawler is really cool because I was reading through the mangas and I was like, this dude looks like me, and I feel like I have I feel like a kinship to him. Like it's very similar to the character I have on my profile picture, like with Kai. I had a very big kinship to him when I was playing him, and it made it easier to sort of see where he's coming from, you know? And so I felt the same way with Skycrawler, where it's like, it's why I do the lab stuff, right? It's because I love helping people, and it's like, there's no like specific reason I like doing it. It's just, I just like it, you know? So I'm going on a long rant right now. But
no, you're good.
That's what this is for.
My Hero Academia. I want to be Skycrawler. I've spoken it to the heavens. That is my main goal.
It's now on record.
It's
now on
record.
record.
Yep. You called your shot.
Yep.
You called your shot. Let's see if we can manifest this.
Universe, please. Oh my goodness. Yeah,
that is amazing.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a fun conversation, but our time is winding to close. Anything exciting going on with you right now, though? You got any projects or anything you're working on? Any voiceovers you're doing that you're particularly excited about?
Oh, you know it.
Yeah, go on and list all 27 projects.
Yeah, I know.
Right now.
Following you on social media is just like casting win after casting win. It feels like feels like you lose track after a certain point of just how many different roles you're doing.
I appreciate that. It's a lot of it. I definitely think I've gotten very good at networking, and like I'm gonna go back to Socrates for a second, but basically something I've been doing a lot recently, and it basically up until the Dallas move, and I'm gonna be doing it after as well, is I'm trying to learn as many perspectives as possible from like business people, from artists, from directors, from writers, from all this stuff. And I just want to learn different perspectives on life. So that way, when someone throws a character at me, I can embody that, you know what I mean? And I can,
absolutely.
And also just on a real world, like networking setting of meeting people and like making friends, of like just wanting to be able to understand where someone's coming from. Like I'm someone who prefers being in a neutral stance on things typically, because I believe everyone has a story, and I believe that it's important to hear those stories, you know? So I think I definitely attest that a lot to the why I've been doing so well with getting certain characters, is because now that I have those perspectives, I look at these characters and I go, I know someone who's like that. I can think about how they would have felt in this moment and maybe base it off of that feeling, and then it usually ends up hitting right on the mark.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, kind of expands your horizons of empathy in a lot of ways, which is invaluable for an actor.
For sure. And like I had learned, I think I told you this a while ago, I learned therapy for a really long time. Oh yeah, we talked about it in the first one.
Right.
What is it? I had learned therapy for a long time, and that was also a sense of like me understanding people. And so the analyses I would do on people, I would also do on the characters I play. So like I could understand like their traumas, or I could understand like the things, like their objectives better. And like I attest like all of the things I've done in these past like 3-4 years to kind of all have come together into this one bubble, kind of like how I said directing did. But as far as the projects themselves, what is it? Sly Cooper Rides the Legendary Thief. That one I'm in. So it's a fan animated series for Sly Cooper, because there's just not been a lot of content for Sly Cooper, and so I got cast as Sly for that.
Oh my goodness! When I think I was like, I saw the casting announcement like for that, and my wife got so excited about it. She loves Sly Cooper. And I was like, I have no idea who that is, but she was very jazzed that you were in that.
Yeah, he's a really fun character. It's cool because I've been playing a lot of characters that I do feel like I was saying with Kai, for example, is I have been feeling a lot of kinship to characters that I play recently. I've been kind of like getting typecasted too, and I'm totally down with it, because it's always like characters that I feel like I resonate with completely. And
that
so
was the most positive spin on getting typecasted I've ever heard.
I feel very.
I love it.
I'm very happy about my typecast. I'm very happy with it, because I typically play influencers, or I play like Riz Lords. It's like Sly Cooper. What he does is he's very much like he's like when he's getting arrested, he goes, "Hey, what's going on, everybody? Where's the part? Like the party's starting now, huh?" And like he's just very like jokey about it. And like it's whenever I would do like therapy, for example, if the room got very tense, I would always try to crack a joke in order to like sort of, you know, make everyone feel a little less like tense or nervous. I do the same with directing. So like when I see Sly do that stuff, I go, I know why you're doing that. It's because it makes you feel less nervous. Like that is the same reason I do it. That's really cool. So what is mechanism. So Sly Cooper's really, really fun. There's a lot of creatives that I had seen for a long time that are a part of it as well. that I am very happy I get to work with. One of them being Paranoid DJ, who made a lot of music for like the Has-Been Hotel community and a bunch of other projects as well. Project Eden's Garden Chapter 1's coming out very soon, and I'm really excited about that one as well. We have a 4D audio drama that we're working on called Neon Ignition as well. I listened to one of the samples a couple of days ago for what the episode is going to sound like, and as a fan of audio dramas, and it's going to sound very biased, I genuinely think we are really like setting the bar with how this audio drama is. Like it's very, the person who our audio engineer, our director, is very, very sophisticated with the tactics that she uses to get someone to feel like they're in the scene. Like I'm awesome. Very, very happy to be a part of the project. Another would be Symbol of Sacrifice was another. That's a Steam game. Atomic Owl I am super excited for. That will be on Steam, Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch, which is actually my first all-platform game. So I'm very, very excited about that as well.
Look at you coming to consoles.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Like there is another that I am also doing for Steam and Nintendo Switch, and that one is called Calabria and the Souls of Limbo, and that one's like a you're basically like this like skeleton soul that finds the people who are stuck in purgatory, and you're basically trying to help them kind of accept their death and move on. Which I think is very beautiful. I love that. I was a big fan of games like To the Moon and Spiritfarer for that concept. So being able to be a part of something that has that same message was just really like artistically, it's very artistically satisfying. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like really emotional kind of premise for a video game, and that sounds awesome. I love that kind of artistic approach to the medium.
Oh yeah, the story so far made me cry twice. So I'm like, and we haven't even seen it. Well, we've seen the demo of it, but like the story itself is very, very, very rich, very emotional. It's stuff that I feel like a lot of people could relate to, and I think that's one of the biggest the beauties about it as well. And then I am also in. Have you ever heard of Grimlord?
I remember seeing you posting about it.
Yeah, I am in my first VR title as well.
That's the one. Yeah, I remember seeing that.
It is. Yeah, you said that was like a Souls-like kind of game.
Yes. So the base concept of it is that they are trying to make Dark Souls in VR, and they're doing a very good job at it. It looks really, really cool. And I had seen it for a really long time, and I had done an audition for it, and I didn't get the audition. But the director in question, he reached out to me and he goes, "Hi," like a year later. And I was like, I don't know who you are. Who are you? and he goes, "Yeah, like you did this audition. I didn't think you were good for that character, but I think I knew I wanted to work with you. Like, do you want to jump in on this?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah." And so his name's Javin. He's a really, really good guy. And since working with him, like I've actually ended up getting connected with a lot of people that I didn't think I would be able to meet at this point as well. And I'm just, it's been a crazy year. I'm so happy.
Well, that is awesome.
How everything has turned out so far. I do have to stop myself a lot though, because I keep seeing a lot of really cool auditions and I'm going, I'm about to move. I'm gonna have a month where I can't work. There's absolutely no way I'm going to be able to get them the lines they need. This sucks, but I have to say no to like anything right now.
No, that's always rough in a transitional period. And I think we've both definitely all been through it rather recently. And then, of course, you're going through this now. It's exciting to see where you're going, exciting to see what possibilities are on the horizon. And I wish you all the best with that. And I'll look forward to seeing you, I guess, in person when we live a lot closer as well. So it feels like there's a lot to be excited about. And yet it's going to be chaos in the short term, no doubt, as it was for both of us. But it's going to be, I'm sure, very rewarding in the long term. And it sounds like you got a lot of great prospects.
Yeah. What is it? And I think, and I'm glad that everything's working out for you too with the job. And it's cool that, everything's coming together. And like the transitional period you were talking about, like it feels like everything's kind of, we're in a state of like making everything work out. And in the next like month or two, we're all pretty much going to have everything that like done that we were pursuing for. So I'm pretty excited. I'm
super excited for you, man. Well, it's been fun talking. It's been absolute pleasure, as always, to record with you. And thank you for being our first returning guest.
Of course.
And we get a bit of a reprise. We're gonna have a few reprises this season, so look forward to seeing some former guests returning to the podcast. But that being said, thank you all very much for listening, and until the next show, I guess we'll see y'all later.
Yep, catch you later.
Thank you very much for listening. This episode was edited and mixed by Raphael Pacheco with original theme music by Mono Memory. Until next time, we'll see y'all later. God bless.